Our Shams Charania reported that Giannis is, quote, open-minded about exploring whether his best long-term fit is remaining in Milwaukee or playing elsewhere. So let's just take a closer look at the current state of the Bucks, because at the trade deadline, they dealt franchise cornerstone Chris Middleton to the Wizards in a deal that netted them Kyle Kuzma and got them below that dreaded second apron. And then Damian Lillard, he missed the final month of the regular season and game 1 of their series against the Pacers with a blood clot in his right calf. And in game 4, he tore his Achilles, unfortunately, which puts his availability for all of next season in jeopardy as well. And that all led to the Bucks bowing out in round 1, despite an incredible series from Giannis. He went for 33 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists per game in the 5-game loss. So joining us now, our senior front office insider, Bobby Marks, who's in Chicago for the draft lottery. Bobby, now that Giannis is, quote, open to exploration, that's according to Shams, what's next for Milwaukee?
Well, I think, Malika, in the next, at least month here, you are gauging the market as far as how this roster can improve around Giannis. And when you meet with him, you're basically giving him the blueprint, whether that 2031 or 2032 first round pick can turn into a player, whether Kyle Kuzma's contract can turn into another player. But here's the thing, Malika, the concern for me comes back to that Damian Lillard injury. If Lillard was healthy right now, we're probably not having this conversation. But as we know, he's owed $54 million next season, and we don't know when he's going to play. I think, Malika, they are going to play with fire if they are going to sell Giannis on a gap year here. And I think when you look at the Giannis equation, these are basically the 4 check boxes as far as what you are looking to get. Draft assets, young players, sizable contracts. And if you're the team that's trading for him, if he does become available, are you still a win now roster? That's the most important thing here.
Okay, so keeping all of that in mind, though, Giannis hasn't demanded or asked for a trade. Let's bring Brian back into this conversation, because I'm still not putting it past, I don't know that this isn't, he isn't gone. Right? So what chance do you give him that he stays in Milwaukee?
It's non-zero because we know that Giannis is very closely bonded to the organization, and he's worked and shown trust in the organization both ways repeatedly over the last decade. Having said that, the gap year thing, there's a big giant hole in that. They don't control their draft pick. So even if they were able to just sort of retrofit and Giannis maybe took it a little easy for a year, like we saw with Steph Curry situation out in Golden State after he had an injury and they had injuries on their roster, they got a top pick out of that. The Bucks don't have that option. So it's just like Bobby said, a very hard sell. But you have to respect the relationship Giannis has with that team, and that's it.
Right. It seems like most superstars, when we talk about staying an entire career with a franchise, of course you think of the Kobe Bryants or even the Steph Currys who win 4 or 5 rings, or Michael Jordan with a single franchise. But much more likely, it's 0 or 1. It's a Dirk Nowitzki type of situation when you look at that. And so I think that that's also something that Giannis is going to have to weigh here, whether or not he's looking for the chance at multiple with a different team, or if it's sticking with Milwaukee for a chance to try to win another one, but already knowing he has one under his belt. Bobby, thank you so much for laying all of that out. We may not know what teams are drafting where, but we do know the players. Look at this. These are the top 5 prospects in this draft, according to ESPN's Jonathan Givony. Cooper Flagg at the top, of course, and then you have Dylan Harper from Rutgers, Ace Bailey also from Rutgers. So Cooper Flagg, the main event, the man that everyone is hoping to draft. So let's just remind everyone why. Shanae, a little top of the top, brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. His top 5 plays that we could drag up here. Flagg, he introduced himself with this huge block in an exhibition game to start the season. Watch him here. Comes out of nowhere.
Chase down.
It's the strides, it's the timing. It's like he's poaching. Like, on a safari, it's like I'm coming, I'm lurking, then boom, I attack.
Yeah, then he gets it. The antelope.
Yeah, the end.
Coming in at number 4 here, taking on top-ranked Kansas in this one. It's not just what he does defensively, but he can also throw it down.
Oh my gosh.
Through contact, too.
Like 2 foot. Boom. 1, 2, yeah.
What are you hearing from teams about him, Brian?
They love that he is really interested in defending. You don't have to teach him or try to get him to focus on defense. He wants to defend. That's hard to find in 19-year-olds.
And then number 3, this is a Sweet 16 versus Arizona. Another chase down block. And this one, he swats all the way out of bounds.
So is this basketball or volleyball? I'm trying to figure out. You know what I mean?
Speaking, our volleyball player Richard,
that's a spike.
Duke won this game.
Oh,
sorry, Rich. Number
Not
2,
so sorry.
taking on Cal. Flag. The defensive prowess that you're talking about, Brian, he has a steal here.
These are all
Defense leads to
defensive
offense.
highlights. I mean, we know he can score, but these are all defensive highlights. What does that tell you? That tells you he's a playmaker at both ends of the court.
And a complete player as well. One more look at this.
Oh,
Jam,
man.
the reverse.
Beautiful.
And then this is our play number 1.
Ooh, I
This
can't
is
wait.
versus Pitt. Flag,
Steal.
another steal,
Again, defense.
coast to coast. But this poster is vicious.
Oh, my.
This is vicious.
And then you go eye to eye.
Even his teammates can't believe it. He says, oh my goodness, what did we just witness?
And just shifting gears. Like, come on.
Our producer, Greg Condis, a avid Utah Jazz fan, is crossing all of his fingers and toes for today. Joining us now is our draft expert, Jonathan Gavoni. We all know the Cooper Flag sweepstakes here, but we've also heard from a lot of executives, Gavoni, that this is an incredibly deep draft, particularly in the lottery ranks. Just how deep is it?
Malika, NBA teams are incredibly excited about this year's draft. Obviously, we have a franchise changer at the top in Cooper Flag, and then a guy who projects to be a perennial all-star at number 2 in Dylan Harper. But 3 is where it gets really interesting. There's a big group of guys there that NBA teams are honed in on, starting with Ace Bailey, 6'9" wing, unbelievable shot maker. I went to watch him last night work out in Chicago. He is every bit the talent that he's billed as. He's got the type of shot-making ability, positional size, athleticism, defensive versatility that every NBA team is looking for at the small forward position. But then after Ace Bailey, you have guys like Baylor's VJ Edgecombe, you have Kaman Malawach, you have Khan Knipple. It's a really deep group of guys, and I don't think that we're going to really know who the number 3 pick is going to be for quite some time. Obviously tonight, very important moment. We're going to find out who's going to get that number 3 pick, and that's going to really determine a lot of things moving forward for the NBA draft.
And we cannot wait. Although I have to admit, Jonathan, I'm going to miss saying who's going to get the right to capture the flag. You know I love a pun, and we get to find out in just a couple of hours. Jonathan Gavoni, as always, thank you so much. We know your season is just heating up right now. We start our show with news from our Shams Charania, who's reporting that the Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo is, quote, open-minded about whether or not he's exploring his best long-term fit and whether or not that remains in Milwaukee or playing somewhere else. Again, this is according to Shams, who joins us now live from Chicago, the site of the draft lottery. And it feels like we have this conversation maybe every other summer here, Shams, about what is going to happen with Giannis. But what has changed for him after 12 years with Milwaukee?
Malika, now is the time that Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm told, is actively exploring what those best fits could look like outside of Milwaukee. Is there a sensible destination for him leaving a place he's been for 12 years as a Bucks player? And I would expect substantive conversations this week. All 30 decision makers are in Chicago. His representatives are in Chicago. Naturally, there will be conversations, and their general manager, John Horst, has made some massive moves over the last really 6 years to position this Bucks team into contention year after year after year. So why now for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And a lot of it is where they're at as an organization. They have one first-round draft pick that they can trade 6 years away from now. They're top-heavy salary-wise. They're really lacking high-level tradable contracts. And then there's that Damian Lillard situation, $54 million on your book, and his status for next season is very much in jeopardy. And so you cobble all that together. And as you know, Malika, Giannis Antetokounmpo has made it clear year after year, I want to be where I can win long term, but that moment of exploration is now.
Well, as he continues to sort of weigh this, the list of suitors, I imagine, Shams, for Giannis, it will be extensive, it will be long. If, and that's a big if, he decides to leave Milwaukee, what's he looking for in a new franchise?
First and foremost, a win now spot that allows him to have sustainable long-term winning. And then I'm told another aspect of this will also be playing alongside a star player that will ease the burden and not being as exhaustive night after night. We see the numbers he puts up. The second consecutive season he's had this year, averaging 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 60% shooting. He's done it back-to-back years. There's never been a player that's even done it once in NBA history. So the Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo's representatives, they will meet eventually at some point this offseason to further discuss his future. But those are some of the elements that he's going to be identifying wherever he ends up this offseason.
This is huge. I have so many questions, so we're going to be back with you in just a moment, Shams. Hang tight for just a sec here. But coming into studio with Shanae Agumake, Brian Windhorst, I'm fascinated just your reactions here to the fact that Giannis is starting to think about whether or not his future still lies in Milwaukee.
He has to. He has to. This is a responsible thing to do. It's also responsible to make it clear that it's going to be a process. He has a set of decisions to make. He has a set of things he needs to watch. But the Bucks are in a position where they are at the end of one era, and I'm not sure that they can move into the next era. All of their key players, at least most of them, are older than him. Their draft assets are exhausted. I don't know if they're able to honestly be able to put a team around him. And with this draft lottery starting tonight, you're going to start to see teams be able to align what their assets are and what their teams are going to look like going forward. So to me, this is an intelligent thing to do. Giannis and his representation owe this to him, and we'll watch how this plays out over the next few weeks. But I will tell you, this is something that the teams have been waiting to hear. They've been preparing for this moment for a long time.
You're right, Wendy. It's him doing due diligence, which I like and I respect as someone that is highly intellectual with how he approaches his career. But it's also interesting because, Malika, you know this most recently, you turn 30 and life hits you different. You have different motivations, right?
That was
I felt that in my chest.
No,
Good morning.
I said Malika knows it most recently, okay? But when I think about as a professional athlete, your motivations, there's two things. There's loyalty, and then there's championships. And I always tell people you have two births when you make it to the pros. You have the day you were born, where you were, right? For me, it's Tomball, Texas. And then it's also when you get born into the league. And being, you know, someone that has built and grown through Milwaukee, you have to weigh those things together on top of your pursuit of championships. We know that there are few players that attack the game as competitively as Giannis does, that treats it with utmost reverence. And I think this is him trying to negotiate and manage what those pursuits are, being loyal to where he's been and where he was born and where he's from, but also understanding that I have so much more to give. I am just 30 years young. I am in my prime.
Yeah.
I'm a walking 30-piece on 12 rebounds and 60% shooting. I want to win. Does that mean the grass is greener elsewhere?
Right.
Or does that mean we still have a shot here?
Look, Giannis keeps an incredibly small, tight circle. I will not pretend to be a part of that, but I did cover him for a number of years. And what I've learned about Giannis is not only is he a loyal person, but he's also a creature of habit. He literally, for a while, was taking the same route to the arena every single day. That's the type of attention to detail that someone like Giannis has. And so when he is weighing these sorts of things, I imagine it is very, very much not lightly, not just out of loyalty, but out of actually enjoying and liking and feeling a mutual sense of respect with this franchise, with the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is something that we're going to see play out over the course of the summer, but it's connected to today because of the assets that teams could be able to build. Can you just explain that a little bit,
So
Brian?
there's two things going on tonight. You have some teams that are dying to have a player like Cooper Flagg and have set themselves up for months chasing the result that they're hoping to get tonight. And then there's a second set of teams that could potentially be competitive for the title or high D playoff run next year, whose hand may improve dramatically tonight. For example, a team like the San Antonio Spurs that probably is 8th in the draft lottery, mostly because of injury, not because of their talent level. They've got 2 picks in this draft. If they jump up, they could become a Giannis suitor with a good hand. You look at the team right there, like the Rockets. What are the Rockets doing in the lottery? They were the number 2 pick. Well, that's the Suns pick that they own. The Rockets pick, especially if it moves up into that top 4, all of a sudden that strengthens their hand in potential Giannis discussions. And a team like the Nets, who are in a rebuild, but potentially could really make an interesting play for Giannis, especially if their draft position improves from that 6th spot up into that top 2 or 3.
So how exactly is the draft order determined? Well, Shams, he's in the room where it happens. Shams, can you just tell us what exactly is the process for determining that order and ultimately who will have the chance to draft Cooper Flagg or accumulate this asset?
Yeah, so Malika, right now we have this black briefcase, and anytime there's a briefcase involved, that means there's business. And the only thing I can't break is this seal until the lawyers end up breaking the seal eventually when they are getting ready to get these 14 balls in this machine right here for this draft lottery. And 14 balls will pop around like popcorn. And then eventually there's going to be 4 balls that pop up that'll determine pick number 1, then pick number 2, pick number 3, and then 4. And they will be based on 4 4-digit combinations. And all 4-digit codes correspond with those teams. And there's 1,001 potential options and combinations. And the three teams with the highest percentages, as we know here, it's Utah. There's teams like Charlotte and Washington. So all have the same percentage chance to potentially get Cooper Flagg in that number 1 overall pick.
You know, when Shams has a briefcase, he means business. They call him Shams Bond. Shams, thank you so very much for explaining that. Enjoy the lottery night and the hair, right? It's very smooth.
Slick.
Here's
That's
a look
not
at the top 5 prospects in this draft. According to ESPN's Jonathan Givony, Cooper Flagg, of course, the top prospect, followed by the Rutgers duo of Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Shams is going to have interviews with some of those in the draft lottery show. Today's awesome, though, if you're a Hoops fan, because we have the lottery and we got some playoff action. But before we continue to look ahead, the postseason action was in full swing this weekend. We have your top plays, starting at number 3, Shanae.
Let's go.
Jamal Murray, Friday night drives, finishes. Ooh, tough left
That is
hand.
like straight up. I remember when he made this play back to the rim. That's just muscle memory.
And by the way, over Chet Holmgren, manning the middle, too. That is not easy. For our number 2 play this weekend, we're heading to the W ranks here.
Let's go. It's WNBA week.
And it's not just Paige buckets in her second preseason game with the Wings, but it's the assists as well. Arike Gumbawale misses a 3. Paige gets the rebound. And then the one-handed pass back to Arike for the lay-in.
That's
How many players did this go by their head? Whoop.
I know, right? Oh, man. Like, that's what you love to see if you're Wings fans. The backcourt cooking.
And you got to finish that play if you got to pass like that. At number 1,
How many times has he been
waiting? We've been waiting for another one of those Anthony Edwards slamma-jammas. Game 3 in the Bay. He puts it on Kevon Looney's
And then started
head.
talking to him, just in case he didn't see it.
That's because it's just another day of the week.
Insult to injury.
Anthony Edwards taking flight. That's just the appetizer for our playoff coverage coming up here on NBA Today. Because the Game 3 loss at home, the Pacers said that they'd respond, and boy, did they ever. Let's take a closer look at this. Temper started to flare here, Brian, early. Watch Benedict Mathurin. He appears to strike DeAndre Hunter in the chest, and then Hunter responds by shoving Mathurin to the ground, and then other players would get involved. And after the shove, Miles Turner, he comes over. He pushes Hunter here. Technicals will be assessed to Hunter and Turner, but Mathurin, flagrant 2, and was ejected.
I can't believe that Hunter did not get the same treatment. This was actually a break for the Cavs.
Well, not much else was a break for the Cavaliers. The Pacers up 18 here. Keep an eye on Obi Toppin, Shanae.
Yeah, you know, this is the thing. When one team is playing with force and has finesse like that, you have a feeling it's going to be your night, especially when you're at home.
That was a great finish from Obi. It reminds me of something else. Let's flash back 45 years ago yesterday, Game 4 of the NBA Finals. It's Dr. J hitting that iconic up and under.
I see it.
Little reverse against the Lakers. 45 years later,
With all due respect to Obi Toppin.
guys still pulling
What? Finish the sentence, Wendy. There's levels to this. Is that what you're trying to say?
homages. That's what we'll
levels to
say.
this.
Respecting
Great guy.
the greats
Love Obi,
there.
but geez.
Later in the second, Miles Turner hits the 3. Pacers just starting a big scoring run here. Next possession, Tyrese Halliburton. He gets in on the 3-ball action.
I mean, no one's winning the point of attack if you see these plays for the Cavs. Like, it looks like target practice out there.
right here, Turner connecting on
Again.
another 3.
The Cavs did
And
not
then
match the physical.
Our guy,
mental
Kendrick
energy.
Perkins, he did not need to be tweeting the way that he was. The Cavaliers' mothers are watching this
I know.
work. He was so out
Some of his best
pocket.
work.
Indiana rolls. Here's Rick Carlisle after the game.
We haven't done anything yet. We're a pretty significant underdog in every game we've played in this series, and that will continue till the end. And we're going to keep approaching this like we have everything to prove. And we know people don't believe in us.
Complete domination by them is really, it's kind of the story, kind of in every facet. It wasn't like, tactics or anything involved. They dominated us in every facet of the game.
So every facet looked something like this. Here's how bad it was for the Cavs in the first half. They trailed by 41, tied for the largest halftime deficit in postseason history. They shot just 25% from the floor and turned it over 14 times. Donovan Mitchell, of course, also didn't play in the second half here, but that seems to be only the beginning of the Cavaliers' struggles. They're going to need him at full force if they want to get back in this.
First off, before we talk about the Cavs, we have to mention how excellent the Pacers have been.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They are 41-16 since the new year, okay? That is equivalent to a team that's a 59-win pace team, okay? The Cavs won 64 games. So I know you look at the Cavs and you say, well, they're the number 1 seed, and the Pacers are the number 4 seed, and there's a huge gap between them. Not so much. And then you add the injuries and the fact that the Cavs have just got ice cold three-point shooting, and the Pacers are playing great. All of a sudden, things get a whole lot different. The Pacers are shooting 42% in this series from 3. The Cavs are shooting 30%. That was a weapon for the Cavs all season long. The Pacers have taken it away from them. The Pacers have played with such incredible force and speed, which has taken them out.
Go ahead, Wendy.
But I will say this. The Donovan situation is probably the most important piece of information the Cavs could have today. He did have an MRI this morning. Sham's telling us that he avoided a major injury.
Okay,
we
that's good
saw
news.
him warming up at the start of the second half, and he appeared like he tweaked something in his lower leg. So it is actually good news that Donovan will be considered game time because they are going to need him to be great to have any chance to come back in this series.
This series comes down to rhythm for me. You know, rhythm is not just in music, it's also in hoops with how you play. And these two teams finished the regular season strong. They were in rhythm, but then they lost the Cavs their rhythm because of health and their lack of availability of their star players. And if you look at the converse, the Pacers have just continued, as you mentioned, since January to build and build and build. We saw one of the most chemistry type of induced first half, 25 assists in the first half, most by any team in the playoffs. They finished with 37 assists on 49 field goals. It doesn't matter who's in front of them, whether it's Giannis, whether it's Donovan.
Yeah.
This team is a well-oiled offensive machine. The number one thing besides Donovan Mitchell is to figure out ways to disrupt what we're seeing offensively that has been spectacular.
There's a reason that they were in the conference finals last year. I think they were easy maybe to forget about this Indiana Pacers team. Not so much anymore. They have a commanding 3-1 series lead. That was one game yesterday. In the other, one may smile and still be a villain. And SGA, he played the foil to the Nuggets on Sunday. It was a tight turnaround from Friday night's game 3, and boy, did it show. I don't want to say noon at a LA Fitness, but not too far off Mark Jones, right? Third quarter, Nuggets up 3. Jamal Murray dribbles it up, hits the 3. Feeling good. Denver taking a 6-point lead here. And then a few minutes later, as he's grooving and jamming, Nikola Jokic hits the 3. Denver made 7 threes in the third after only making 3 in the whole first half. Denver up 6 headed into the fourth. But here's SGA. He knows his mindset has to change a little as a star trying to close out the game.
Those are the moments where the guy on the team earns his buck.
And earn his buck, did he ever. Next Thunder possession, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Little fadeaway, Shanae.
Yeah, what I love about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, everyone has great expectations for the presumptive MVP, but he's still going through the process of having to take down his opponents, and you're seeing it in real time. 9 points, I believe, in the fourth.
Yeah, a far cry from what he was in game 3, where he couldn't hit a field goal in the fourth quarter and overtime. And then on the other side for the Nuggets, their star struggled in this one late. He only had 5 points, 2 of 7 shooting in the final frame. Jokic did tally 43 minutes in this game. Maybe the fatigue is just starting to show a little bit. But OKC, they even up the series here. Here's Jokic on this young Thunder team after the game.
They're physical, they're handsy, they're coming, they're really, they're good with help. And sometimes I just cannot make a shot. So it's a little bit of everything right now.
It's best out of 3. It's not a funeral, guys. It's best out of 3. We lost the game. On to the next.
Cool heads prevailing there for Jamal Murray, but it was another inefficient game for Jokic in this series. After 3 straight poor shooting games, he's shooting 39% for the series. That's on par to be his worst in a series over his career. He's also averaging just under 6 turnovers a game, also on pace to be the most in a series in his career. Usually with the Joker, we're asking why so serious, but I'm asking why is he struggling, Shanae?
You're starting to see the effects of game 7 versus the Clippers in these last 2 games.
That's what it feels like.
Obviously versus the Thunder. And if you look at these numbers right here, they have played a lot of minutes so far this postseason. So typically you look at who's played the most, you're going to be like, oh, I bet you it's the New York Knicks. No, it's actually the Denver Nuggets.
Hey, there's one Nick.
There is one
There's
Nick.
one.
There's only one. But Jamal, Jokic, Christian Brown, obviously, Aaron Gordon, they've all played a lot on top of coming into this series with an overtime game as well. And so I think that's why you start seeing Jokic. I watched him at the top of the game, like, oh, that's automatic. It was a miss. And he spoke to those misses. When you're tired, tired, your shot is short. You don't have that explosive nature. Like, it's just, things are much more difficult and it's happening rapidly against the youngest team in the NBA that loves to run and gun.
I'm afraid to say, because we were all sitting up here when they were struggling against the Los Angeles Clippers, getting blown out of the water and saying, oh, they just look tired. I don't know if they have any more left. I never put it past Nikola Jokic to find another gear. He's a 3-time MVP for a reason. But you're just not looking at the last 3 games, Brian. You're looking at something else.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last 7. It's 7 games in 13 days. It's a brutal stretch dating back to the absolute battles they were with the Celtics in games 5, 6, and 7. Okay, I just want you to look at that. 40%. He shot 55% or better in the last 3 postseasons. Okay? His free throw percentage is down 15%. Free throws he's not even making at his normal clip year over year, okay? He already played the most minutes per game he has in his entire career in the regular season. He had a bigger lift this year than he's almost ever had. Now we're seeing the results here. I know that the Nuggets fans were focused on having to play Friday night and Sunday afternoon. No. This is a result of the last 2 weeks that is wearing him out.
Also, Wendy, you talk about the lift, right? He has physically trying to carry his team along because his teammates, his role players, are banged up as well. But it's also the mental lift. Like, we've seen so many plays or possessions where during a timeout, you know, he's here galvanizing his squad, yelling, like trying to be the coach on the floor when they made that change. So it's not just him playing, it's also him leading and coaching his team in real time.
Absolutely, and no rest for the wicked. They're back at it tomorrow.
And we're on the path of trying to go after greatness. You don't get to dictate the test that's in front of you.
If the Celtics find their rhythm, all the pressure will then be back on New York.
Hey, where my dogs at?
Brilliant three-point shooting here for Boston.
Hey, now say that I'm murdered by my end. Big face Buddha, get my peace from within.
Shooter 2 before doubling that, making half of their 3-pointers, 20 for 40 in their Game 3 win. And Wendy, Joe Mazzulla said after Game 2 he liked the looks that the Celtics were getting, and so he wasn't going to change anything. We all kind of felt like it was just a matter of time before the Boston Celtics got going, and now they have.
Kinda. They're still a matter of time, because I know that it looked a lot better if you're a Celtics fan, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are not yet playing to their potential offensively, not even close. They were 15 of 37 in this game. Like, yes, Tatum especially hit some shots coming out of the gate, but they're still collectively, those two, shooting under 30% on 3 in this series, and between them only shooting 34% overall. So it was better. But if you're New York, you better expect them to get going even more, and you're going to need even more points, I think, at some point.
Well, it's not just the shooting of the Boston Celtics that could decide this pivotal Game 4. That sounds like a job for my sis, the queen of the tape. There's no one who is better at breaking down tape than Shanae.
Roll the tape. Oh, snap. This is my sister squad. I have something up my sleeve. Big Cali energy here at the Intuit Dome. We have a big cheat sheet on the Jumbotron. The biggest cheat sheet ever. Look at that finish. Turnaround 360. She has been balling. They would have a 95.6% chance of winning the series. And if the Celtics win this game, Game 4, they would have stolen momentum and take back home court advantage. So New Yorkers, you might be a little nervous, but this is what you need to do if you're a Knicks fan. 1, first of all, you cannot get into a big hole again. You cannot always play from behind. At one point of each game, they have been down by 20, by 20, by 30. They have to be able to keep it close in the first half, or at least try to win the first half. And then 2, you need your role players, your X factors, to be stars in their roles. I don't think the Mitchell Robinson free throw situation is the end of the world, but he needs to be a bigger boost defensively than a liability offensively. And OG Anunoby, he had a playoff career high 29 in Game 1, but has only scored 7 points since. But if we're going to talk about scoring points, Karl Anthony Towns is truly the separator. He has stepped up his game on the other end, though, defensively, finally coming out of drop coverage. He has held the Celtics to 3 for 25 from the field when he contests a shot. That includes holding Jason Tatum to 2 of 13 shooting, but offensively, he truly has the advantage versus an older Al Horford, versus a Kristaps Porzingis that is less than 100%. That is the scouting report for the Knicks. But most importantly, when you think about Karl Anthony Towns, y'all, he has only made 1 3 so far in the series. 1 3 over the last 4 games. He is the best shooting big man. His words, not mine. That has to show up. So you need role players being stars in their roles. You need to not be in a hole. You cannot dig yourself in a hole. And you need your all-star and all-NBA player to have a big night, Malika.
Well, the Celtics, they've been right at home, Shanae, in Madison Square Garden. They've been taking their shoes off, wiggling their toes, as our friend Kirk would say, over the last century. They're 38-17 at the Garden in this span, which is better than their home record overall these last 25 years. So that's the Knicks and the Celtics, but we got another series heading to a Game 4. Let's take a look at today's electric moment, brought to you by Hyundai. Reminder how we got here. Game 3 between the Wolves and the Warriors. Anthony Edwards, he took center stage here. He had a few words to say to Gary Payton about Steph.
Y'all trying to get to a Game 6 and Wardell back.
That is the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know that is the plan.
Are they going over out there?
Oh, that is also always the plan for Anthony Edwards.
I don't know if Steph could stop that.
I don't know that anybody can stop that. I love when the bench reacts that way as well. And then going ahead here to the fourth quarter, 7 minutes to go. The Warriors up by 5. This is the type of game it felt like the Golden State Warriors needed to win. The Wolves had other plans. Julius Randle, excellent in this one, had a triple-double. And then a minute later, Edwards catches, shoots the 3. The Timberwolves take a 2-point lead. And then here, under 2 minutes to go, Edwards' 3 is no good here. And then that one he gets to go. Edwards, game high 36 points. Minnesota goes on to win 102-97. Game 4 tonight is on ESPN. Young Masuk is on hand for this one. The Warriors, they're going to be without Steph Curry yet again in this one. How are they preparing?
Malika, Steph was on the floor for shoot around this morning, but obviously did not participate. He is scheduled to be reevaluated on Wednesday. And as our Sean Stirani has reported, Game 6 likely is going to be the earliest possible return because he has only really done some light running, some light shooting, no cutting. He hasn't been cleared for contact and really no sprinting. So the formula, as Steve Kerr said, he's looking for a formula to win without Steph Curry, and it's going to have to go through Jimmy Butler again. He logged 43 minutes, and Jonathan Kuminga. Those two had their best game together on the floor at the same time with a combined 63 points. Now, Steve Kerr said, from his experience, he likely is not expecting 63 points from those two again, but other guys are going to have to step up. Brandon Podjemski, who has struggled to shoot, he needs to bust out of a scoring slump. And look, defensively, he loved what he saw. They held the Wolves to 84 points with 4:38 to go, and that is when Draymond Green fouled out. They need Draymond Green on the floor. The margin for error is so razor thin without Steph, but Jimmy did say, we know we have confidence we can win without Steph. I'm not going to tell any of my guys entering Game 4 that we need to play desperate.
Yeah, Draymond Green fouled out. Kevon Looney fouled out of this game. I mean, we're hearing whooping and hollering somewhere through your microphone there, Ohm. So clearly the Golden State Warriors are ready for this one. Thank you so very much. Enjoy the game. All right, that's the NBA playoffs. In the W, in case you missed it, here's Sabrina Younes.
What's your favorite team? Comment below, and if you liked the video, please leave a like. This really helps the channel grow and brings you even more content. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button and activate the bell to receive all notifications. With each game, we notice that the NBA is getting more competitive every day, and all the teams are looking for reinforcements to win the championship. And only here can you follow your favorite team daily with incredible content from different sources. Here on the channel, there are new videos every day with analysis, curiosities, and the best moments in basketball. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for following along. The NBA doesn't stop, and neither do we. Until the next video. NBA, the passion that connects us.